Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Dear students, you are welcome in this lecture. The topic of this lecture is nitrogen in soil and nitrogenous fertilizers. We will discuss the status of nitrogen in soil, what happens to nitrogen in soil, and more importantly, we will see different fertilizer sources for nitrogen. The learning objectives are to learn the forms, status and availability of nitrogen in soil, to describe the classification, composition, manufacture and properties of nitrogenous fertilizers. The difficult terms are like available nitrogen. Available nitrogen is defined as water soluble nitrogen plus a part of it that can be made soluble or converted into free ammonia. Nitrapyrin, also called as N-SURB, is a nitrification inhibitor. This nitrapyrin was the first nitrification inhibitor in the world, developed in 1966, and it inhibits or slows down or retards the rate of nitrification. Therefore, it increases efficiency of nitrogenous fertilizer. Nitrate poisoning. An excess of nitrate or nitrite in water and food is harmful. The nitrite ion transforms oxyhemoglobin, the oxygen carrier in blood, into an inactive form, methemoglobin, which is incapable of carrying oxygen in blood, and this is particularly dangerous, this nitrate poisoning in young children, where blue baby syndrome disease is observed or disorder is observed. Nitrate reductase, it is the enzyme. Nitrate reductase is a metalloflavoprotein which catalyzes the reduction of nitrate in plants, essential for the synthesis of plant protein. Nitration. Nitration is the conversion of nitrite to nitrate by soil bacteria like Nitrobacter, followed by the uptake and incorporation of nitrates into amino acids by higher plants. Nitrification inhibitor is a substance which slows down the rate of nitrification. And nitrification is the conversion of ammonia and nitrites to nitrates. Then nitrogen availability index. The quantitative value index of the soil property or a group of properties that correlates with the amount of nitrogen that the soil makes available to the crop during its growing period. Nitrogenase is really very important enzyme, and it fixes inert nitrogen in soil, inert nitrogen from the atmosphere, which is N2. It lowers the activation energy required for the conversion of nitrogen to ammonia. Nodulation, the process by which rhizobium bacteria infect the roots of leguminous plants to form knob-like structures or nodules on roots, is called as nodulation or nodule formation. Proteins form a large group of organic compounds found in all living organisms. Proteins comprise carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen, usually 16%. Therefore, we get factor 6.25. If you multiply nitrogen by total nitrogen or crude nitrogen by 6.29, then you get crude protein. 6.25, you get crude protein. And sometimes protein may also have sulfur with molecular weights ranging from 6,000 to several millions. Total nitrogen. Nitrogen available to a plant is the sum of the available soil nitrogen, the nitrogen applied through fertigation or fertilizer, and the amount available through organic matter, the crop rotation type, etc. So, that is your total nitrogen. Now, nitrogen is really very important around us, and we see there is abundant supply of nitrogen. In the atmosphere, it is 78% of the nitrogen, which is in gaseous form N2, and it is non-reactive. But it has several forms which are reactive, means they take part in reactions and they take part in formation of fertilizers and several compounds in terrestrial system or in ocean system, in aquatic, wherever you see. However, much energy is required to break the triple bond between the atoms of nitrogen within N2, and this job is mainly performed by nitrogenase enzyme. Most living organisms cannot use nitrogen from the atmosphere as a source of nitrogen. So, I think from this slide you can remember that atmosphere have about 78% nitrogen. Now, impactful scientific discovery was made by German scientists in the early 1900. Two German scientists, Haber and Bosch, many of you might have heard these two names. They developed a process to convert nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen or N2 gas, from the atmosphere into ammonia. It is really very big discovery by these people. In this process, N2 is reacted at elevated pressure and temperature with hydrogen gas, usually derived from natural gas. This hydrogen gas we get from the natural gases like methane or naphtha and some other petroleum product. We can get hydrogen, and nitrogen we can get from the atmosphere. So, 1:3 ratio they are combined. This is still the main process used to create synthetic nitrogen fertilizer. Most of the world fertilizers are still produced by the same process developed by Haber and Bosch. Nitrogen input in the soil's ecosystem. Let us see where from nitrogen enters the soil ecosystem or enters into the soil. You see the picture also and see the text on the right side. This diagram shows sources of nitrogen for the rice production system, but they are almost same in other production systems also. So, for example, nitrogen can come from N fertilizer. So, many times farmers apply nitrogenous fertilizer like urea, ammonium nitrate, calcium ammonium nitrate or other fertilizers. They supply nitrogen, and this N2 is converted into plant usable form using fossil fuel energy. Organic materials also supply nitrogen. Nitrogen is made available to plants after their decomposition, because in organic materials there is protein, and breakdown of this protein results in this nitrogen formation. Biological nitrogen fixation is another mode through which nitrogen enters the soil, and it is done by microorganisms. They convert atmospheric nitrogen into a form usable by plants. Lightning also supplies some nitrogen. Energy from lightning converts N2 into a form usable by plants. So, lightning also supplies nitrogen to the soil. Now, see nitrogen output from the soil ecosystem. Some nitrogen has entered the soil, but it will not stay forever. It is lost from the soil. And what are the different output from soil ecosystem? These are crop harvest. Nitrogen in the grain is removed at harvest. So, larger parts of nitrogen are removed by the crop plants, particularly cereal plants remove very large quantities of nitrogen. For example, rice, wheat, maize, on an average they remove about 20 to 22 kilograms of nitrogen per ton of grain. So, significant quantities are removed by cereal. If we take 2 crops of cereal, lot of nitrogen, maybe more than 250 kilograms of nitrogen can be removed by rice wheat system. Then another loss could be by ammonia volatilization from fertilizer can be lost as a gas, particularly when urea is applied on the surface and it is not incorporated into the soil. Ammonia volatilization losses are very high, and these losses also increase if your pH of the soil is alkaline and outside temperature is very high. So, it encourages ammonia volatilization. Sometimes losses by ammonia volatilization can reach 30 to 35% of the total nitrogen applied. Denitrification is another mechanism by which nitrogen is lost from the soil. Nitrate converts to nitrogen gases escaping into the atmosphere, and this particularly happens under submerged conditions or water load conditions when there is shortage of oxygen in the soil, and this is converted into N2 or N2O, and it escapes to the environment. Runoff is another mechanism by which nitrogen is lost from the field. Sometimes there is excess rainfall which can carry the soil particles from the top layer, and this carries nitrogen along with soil. And leaching is also possible, particularly under aerobic conditions. Suppose there is sufficient nitrate formation and rainfall occurs or irrigation is given and there is excess water in the soil. So, there will be leaching and this nitrate will escape to the lower soil layers. Now, nitrogen in soil is mainly in two forms. One is organic form, other is inorganic or mineral form. In organic form, the nitrogen is bonded to a carbon atom. More than 95% of nitrogen in soil is in organic matter. This point needs to be remembered. Inorganic nitrogen, also called as mineral nitrogen. Plants take up nitrogen in an inorganic form. Nitrate and ammonium are the main inorganic forms used by the plants. Nitrate and ammonium represent a small fraction of total nitrogen in soil, but this is directly available to the plant. Plants can take up this nitrogen. But recent research also suggests that some amino acids that contain nitrogen can be directly absorbed by the plant, which is called as organic plant nutrition. Now, see different nitrogen forms, particularly in rice field, what kind of nitrogen forms are there. So, one is dinitrogen is the most abundant gas in Earth's atmosphere. Two nitrogen atoms triple bonded together make it stable and unusable by most plants. They cannot use this N2 directly. It is lot of nitrogen is there in the atmosphere, but it cannot be used so easily. So, next form is ammonia. NH3 is a gas at normal temperature and pressure. It volatilizes into the atmosphere. Nitrate is another form. It is dissolved in water and it is the primary inorganic form of nitrogen in aerobic soil, and it is lost through leaching or runoff due to high solubility. Most of the, or rather all negatively charged ions, or that they are known as anions, are susceptible to be leached from the soil, like chloride, nitrate, sulfate and some H2PO4, etc. Nitrite is dissolved in water and it is an intermediary product of nitrification and denitrification. And most of the time this NO2 is not traceable. It is in very insignificant quantities in the soil, but it can be there. If there is little excess quantity of this nitrite in the soil, it can become very toxic to the plants or very toxic to the animal life in the soil. Ammonium form of nitrogen is the primary inorganic form of nitrogen in anaerobic soil. It predominates in anaerobic soil. Nitrogen is released from decomposing organic materials in this form. So, for example, if you have organic material, it is getting decomposed. First reaction is by heterotrophic organism and they convert protein into amino acid. This process is known as aminization. After aminization, amino acids are produced and they are further broken down into ammonical form, which is known as ammonification, means formation of ammonical ions is ammonification. After ammonification, nitrification happens, where this ammonium nitrogen or ammonical nitrogen is converted to nitrate in a two-step process known as nitrification. In the first step, ammonium is converted into nitrite. In the second step, nitrite is converted to the nitrate. First reaction is mediated by nitrosomonas and second reaction is mediated by nitrobacter. So, therefore, this is the release of nitrogen in the form of nitrate. Then organic nitrogen is CnH2, the most common form of nitrogen in soil. Nitrogen is bonded to a wide variety of carbon structures. It must be mineralized before it is available to the plants. The nitrous oxide is a potent, sometimes it is also called as a laughing gas, and it is a kind of greenhouse gas that may be produced during nitrification and denitrification process. It also acts as a catalyst in breaking down ozone in upper atmosphere. So, this nitrous oxide is not liked by the environmentalists because it results in global warming. Now, let us see reactive nitrogen. Except N2, other forms just you have seen like ammonical form, nitrate form, nitrite form, all these forms are reactive nitrogen. So, most forms of nitrogen in the environment are reactive. They react chemically with other compounds and or biologically with other organisms. Nitrogen is the primary exception to this, that is N2. N2 does not react. The processes shown in the next two slides reflect how nitrogen reacts and is transformed into other compound. Or these processes in soil are very, very important. Immobilization is plant available forms of nitrogen are used by microbes. Nitrogen become temporarily unavailable. This is kind of fixation of nitrogen by organisms living in soil. They make it unavailable. The available nitrogen is converted into unavailable forms. That is immobilization. Then mineralization is opposite of the immobilization, where organic forms of nitrogen are transferred back into a plant available form, that is inorganic form or mineral form. Ammonia volatilization, I think by now you understand, it is urea fertilizer converts to ammonia gas and lost to the atmosphere. Nitrification is in the presence of oxygen. Ammonium is transformed into nitrate by microbes. I just explained this process. Denitrification, when nitrate moves into anaerobic soil, it is transformed into gaseous nitrogen from forms like N2 or N2O. And this is both chemical as well as biological process, denitrification. Biological nitrogen fixation is by microorganism. They convert nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen, into a form plants can use. Ammonium fixation is also there. Ammonium is trapped between clay particles and becomes unavailable. So, this ammonium fixation is also a problem with nitrogen management. Many times potassium application is recommended to take the ammonium which is fixed in the clays or in these kind of situation. They can release ammonium from the fixed forms. Ammonia volatilization, loss of ammonia from the soil in vapor forms. Now friends, we have seen what is happening to nitrogen in soil. Now we see the fertilizer nitrogen. What are the important nitrogenous fertilizer? And whenever we speak about nitrogenous fertilizer, they start with ammonia synthesis, the most important step in the production of or manufacture of nitrogenous fertilizers. So let us have some in-depth knowledge on ammonia synthesis. Ammonia gas was first produced by Joseph Priestley in 1754, long back, by distilling ammonium chloride with quicklime. Although ammonium sulfate arrived on the scene in the later half of the 19th century as a byproduct of the coke oven industry. However, large-scale synthesis of ammonia had to wait till the path-breaking synthesis of ammonia in a reactor was achieved by two Germans, that is Fritz Haber and Karl Bosch in 1910. In recognition of their contribution, Haber was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1918 and Bosch in 1931. So, both received the Nobel Prize for their discovery. In his acceptance speech at the Nobel Prize award ceremony, Karl Bosch disclosed that more than 20,000 experiments were needed to develop a useful catalyst for industrial use. So, see how much pain or how much efforts those people have done to find this ammonia synthesis. Nitrogen fertilizers are manufactured in a variety of formulations, each with different properties and uses for crop production. So, one particular fertilizer cannot be used under all situations. That will depend upon soil characteristics, climatic characteristics, as well as crop characteristics and also management practices. So, these all essentially begin with the anhydrous ammonia, which is manufactured from air and natural gas by the Haber-Bosch process. As you know, this air will give you nitrogen and your natural gas will give you hydrogen. So, both are combined to make ammonia. The Haber-Bosch process supports a major part of the world's food supply by generating production of ammonia, the main raw material for most nitrogen fertilizer. At this stage, we cannot ignore the contribution of nitrogen in world food security. It has been tremendous, enormous contribution of this ammonia or nitrogen and the fertilizers made towards meeting the global food supply. Besides direct application as anhydrous ammonia fertilizer, ammonia is also used as raw material in the production of urea, ammonium nitrate and other nitrogen fertilizers, as well as in the production of monoammonium phosphate, diammonium phosphate and other multi-nutrient fertilizers. So, it can be said that ammonia can be directly used as a fertilizer under high pressure and low temperature. It can be converted into liquid and then it can be applied using certain machinery. But except that, all other nitrogenous fertilizers are produced by using ammonia in their production. So, let us have a look on types of nitrogen fertilizer. There is no any strict classification of nitrogenous fertilizer, but you can see this kind of classification is there. So, first is ammonium fertilizer, means fertilizer that contains ammonium. So, first and the foremost is ammonia, 82% nitrogen, anhydrous ammonia NH3 in liquid form. Ammonium sulfate is next fertilizer containing 21% nitrogen, ammonium bicarbonate 17% nitrogen, all moderately quick acting. All these fertilizers are quick acting and quickly available. Uptake of plants can be retarded by addition of nitrification inhibitors. Even in ammonium based fertilizer, we can add nitrification inhibitor to slow down the process of release of nitrogen. Then number 2 is nitrate fertilizers. Fertilizer which have nitrogen in nitrate form are nitrate fertilizer. Examples are calcium nitrate 16% nitrogen, sodium nitrate 16% nitrogen, Chilean nitrate, that is KNO3, all quick acting and increasing soil pH. This calcium containing or sodium containing fertilizer, they are basically basic in nature, and ammonium containing fertilizer are acidic in nature. Ammonium nitrate fertilizers, the fertilizers which contain both forms, ammonium as well as nitrate, are ammonium nitrate fertilizer as the name suggests. Ammonium nitrate is an example which contain about 34% nitrogen. Calcium ammonium nitrate, which is combination of ammonium nitrate and calcium carbonate, contains 21 to 27% nitrogen. Ammonium sulfate nitrate contains 26 to 30% nitrogen. So, these are the ammonium nitrate fertilizers. Then fourth group is amide fertilizers, and the most prominent one is urea containing 46% nitrogen, calcium cyanamide 20% nitrogen. Solutions containing more than one form of nitrogen like urea ammonium nitrate solution, which may have 28 to 32% nitrogen. Next group of fertilizer, nitrogen based fertilizer, is slow and controlled release fertilizers. These fertilizers are very important for increasing the recovery of the nitrogen. So, either derivatives of urea with nitrogen in large molecules or granular water soluble nitrogen fertilizers. Controlled release urea is your encapsulated in thin polymer film, slow or very slow acting according to type of polymer or thickness of film. So, such kind of fertilizer like polymer coated urea is a slow release nitrogenous fertilizer, and which is being used in some developed countries like in Japan. They use, and up to some extent USA also uses this fertilizer. Often includes a quick acting component or other means of slow release like sulfur coated urea. It is also important, it supplies sulfur, it supplies nitrogen. Nitrogen may be about 35%, and this is produced in USA, and it is a slow release nitrogenous fertilizer. Then now you must be seeing in the market there is interest of the people in multi-nutrient fertilizers containing nitrogen. So, NP are there in the market, nitrophosphate containing nitrogen and phosphorus, maybe 20 to 23% nitrogen, and same quantity of P2O5, that is 20 to 23% P2O5. Monoammonium phosphate, commonly called as MAP, containing 11% nitrogen and 52% phosphorus in the form of P2O5. Then diammonium phosphate, it is the most common fertilizer in India after urea. This diammonium phosphate contains 18% nitrogen and 46% P2O5. Then liquid ammonium polyphosphates, they contain 12% nitrogen and 40% phosphorus. NK fertilizers are also there. They may contain fertilizer, nitrogen and potassium is there in these fertilizers, and example is potassium nitrate. NPK fertilizers containing nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Now India is producing and also importing some NPK fertilizers. Now let us start with anhydrous ammonia, the most important in America. In USA, most of the farmers and people like using anhydrous ammonia because it is very cheap, even cheaper than urea. In urea, you need to combine carbon dioxide with ammonia to produce urea, but here you can straightway inject your ammonia into the soil. So anhydrous ammonia, that is NH3, was first applied directly in the field on a commercial scale in the United States as early as in 1943-44. Although registered as a fertilizer in the Fertilizer Control Order, Government of India, but it is rarely used for direct application in India. Initially, some farmers, some people made effort, but there was no success because of certain constraints. So it is the most concentrated commercial fertilizer containing 82% nitrogen. Since the most common source of energy for manufacturing ammonia is the natural gas, methane, ammonia production facilities are usually located near natural gas supplies. Therefore, fertilizer production is quite common in Gulf countries and some Arabic countries. The ammonia is transported worldwide by pipelines, trucks, railroads and ships as a liquid under pressure and or refrigeration to keep it below its boiling point. Boiling point of ammonia is -33 degrees centigrade. Ammonia is usually applied to the soil by injection at a depth of 10 to 20 centimeter as a pressurized liquid that immediately vaporizes and reacts with soil water so that it is converted into ammonium hydroxide. This ion then gets attached to negatively charged cation exchange site on clay minerals or maybe on humus. Aqua ammonia contains 20 to 24% nitrogen, that is ammonium hydroxide, and it is produced by mixing ammonia with water. Very easy to produce. This form can be added to irrigation water as an alternate means of application, means it can be successfully used in fertigation systems. Now come to the other important fertilizer, that is urea, or rather most common nitrogenous fertilizer in the world. So it was actually first organic compound to be synthesized by man, because practically it looks to be inorganic, but from the chemistry point of view it contains carbon, therefore it is organic compound. First separated from urine by Rowley in 1773, hence the name urea came. Rowley it is there. In 1782, Prout separated pure crystalline urea. It was first synthesized by F. Wohler 1800 to 1882 of Germany in 1828 by heating ammonium cyanate. So commercial production of urea had to wait until 1922 after the large scale synthesis of ammonia was made possible by Haber and Bosch in 1910. The IG Farbenindustrie in Germany was the first company to synthesize urea commercially from ammonium carbamate in 1923. In India, the first urea plant was set up in 1959 at Sindri in Bihar. This is important for Indian student. This is very good information that in India, the first urea plant was set up in 1959 at Sindri in Bihar. Urea, as most of you know, that it contains about 46% nitrogen and it is solid nitrogen fertilizer. The production of urea fertilizer involves controlled reaction of ammonia, NH3 and carbon dioxide with elevated temperature and pressure. So you need lot of energy to produce urea. The molten urea is formed into spheres with specialized granulation equipment or hardened into a solid pills while falling from a tower. During the production of urea, two urea molecules may inadvertently combine to form a compound termed biuret, means unwanted. We do not require, but by chance biuret can be formed, which can be damaging when sprayed onto plant foliage. So, there is certain tolerance limit that plant can tolerate this biuret also, but beyond which it will be phytotoxic to the plants. Most commercial urea fertilizer contains only low amounts of biuret due to carefully controlled conditions during the manufacturing of urea. Urea is an excellent nutrient source to meet the nitrogen demand of plants. Because it readily dissolves in water, surface applied urea moves with rainfall or irrigation into the soil. Means leaching of urea is possible if there is excess rainfall or excess irrigation. Within the soil, urea moves freely with soil water until it is hydrolyzed to form ammonium. Now, next fertilizer is ammonium sulfate. Ammonium sulfate actually preceded single superphosphate as the first synthetically produced fertilizer. It was first as a byproduct of the manufacture of coal gas in 1815 in England and later from coke oven battery gas. First produced in India in 1933, Jamshedpur as a byproduct of the steel industry, followed its manufacture using sulfuric acid in 1941. Ammonium sulfate contains about 21% nitrogen and it is produced as an industrial byproduct and is one of the oldest manufactured nitrogen fertilizer. It comes from manufacturing of steel, nylon and other processes that use sulfuric acid. It is often used as a carrier for herbicide application, helping to enhance efficacy of herbicides. It also contains 24% sulfur, making it a useful choice where sulfur is needed. So, supplying two nutrients, nitrogen as well as sulfur. So, there are some studies where ammonium sulfate was found more useful to rice than urea or some other fertilizers. So, therefore, still it has got some values, this ammonium sulfate. Now, we switch to next nitrogenous fertilizer, which is calcium cyanamide. The chemical formula is CaCN2 and it contains 21% nitrogen. So, calcium cyanamide was first synthesized by Frank and Caro in Germany in 1898 by reacting calcium carbide with nitrogen at a high temperature. In addition to its fertilizer value, it has got some herbicidal and fungicidal properties due to intermediate decomposition products. And not only this, some researchers have tried it as a coating material around the urea. So, it can be the urea can be made by coating this calcium cyanamide as a coating material, and urea can be made as a slow release fertilizer. The next fertilizer is ammonium nitrate. It is quite important in European and American countries where it is sold under regulated conditions, under controlled conditions, because ammonium nitrate cannot be sold freely in the market. It has some potential damage. People can prepare some kind of local bombs can be prepared from ammonium nitrate. Therefore, it is licensed material. Production started in Europe after the commercial production of ammonia was made possible. A potential explosive, actually this is explosive, first used as fertilizer in Europe after World War I, when the war surplus material was released for other uses. It contains 33 to 34% nitrogen, produced as a concentrated solution by reacting ammonia gas with nitric acid. Means reaction of ammonia and nitric acid is required to produce ammonium nitrate. The solution 95 to 99% ammonium nitrate is dropped from a tower and solidifies to form prills, which can be used as fertilizer or made into granular ammonium nitrate by spraying concentrated solution onto small granules in a rotating drum. Since half of the nitrogen is in the ammonium form, it may be taken up directly by the roots or gradually converted to nitrate by microbes, providing a delayed release of nitrogen. The other half of the nitrogen is in the nitrate form and is immediately available to plants. So, its high solubility make it well suited for fertigation and foliar application. Calcium ammonium nitrate. To eliminate possibilities of hazard due to ammonium nitrate, because it can be used as explosive material, so it was mixed or diluted with limestone to produce calcium ammonium nitrate. So, this also brought down the nitrogen content in the finished fertilizer from 33% in ammonium nitrate to 20 to 26% in calcium ammonium nitrate. In India, the production of calcium ammonium nitrate started in 1961 at Nangal, Punjab. NPK complex fertilizers. Interest in the development and production of NPK complexes followed the development of ammonium phosphates and the easy availability of muriate of potash as the source of potassium. In India, production of NPK complex started through the nitrophosphate route in 1965. Production of other complexes followed, for example, grades like 12, 32, 16. In Hindi, they call 12, 32, 16, 12, 32, 16, 10, 26, 26 in 1974 at Kandla, Gujarat, 19, 19, 19. So, NPK, this means 19% nitrogen, 19% P2O5 and 19% K2O, 14, 35, 14, etc. in 1975 at Zurinagar, Goa, and 17, 17, 17 in 1976 at Manali, Chennai. Since then, these and other popular NPK grades have been replicated by several manufacturers, and they are in demand also because they save some money on transport and they encourage the balanced fertilization of NPK together. Slow release or controlled release fertilizers are also there, not very common in our country, but in some countries like Germany, USA, Japan, these kind of fertilizers are quite popular and they are used in your turf grass. So, interest in conserving nitrogen and controlling the rate of release of soluble fertilizer nitrogen led to the development of slow release fertilizers. Like urea forms is one example. Urea form is made from urea and formaldehyde. So, sometimes it is also called as urea form 30. So, the process for the production of urea form was patented by BASF in Germany in 1924. So, BASF is a company in Germany which manufactures some fertilizers. These were patented for use as fertilizer in 1947 in USA and were commercially produced in the USA in 1955. The family of urea forms contains a range of products depending on polymerization. Urea form consists largely of longer UF polymers. Methylene ureas MU, which evolved during the 1960s and onwards, are intermediate chain length polymers, while methylene diurea MDU, which was developed in the 1980s, consists of short chain polymers. Isobutylidene diurea IBDU, it finds its use, it is being produced in some developed country and it contains 31% nitrogen and 90% is water insoluble. That means it is acting as a very slow release fertilizer and the nitrogen recovery and nitrogen use efficiency will be high. IDBU based formulations are being produced in Belgium, Germany and Japan. Another control release fertilizer is crotonylidene diurea or CDU containing about 32% nitrogen. It is produced in Japan, which also accounts for most of the consumption. So, of course, they are preferred in some countries who are aware of the environment. They want to improve the environment. They want less emission of nitrous oxide or nitrogen oxides into environment. Sulfur coated urea was first developed by TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority of the USA in the early 1960s, for which it was granted a patent in 1967. NPK fertilizers are also coated with sulfur have also been developed in Japan. SCU is for sulfur coated urea, and several other sulfur coated fertilizers are estimated to account for about 45% of the total coated fertilizer production. These coated fertilizers, control release fertilizer, slow release fertilizer, and fertilizer treated with nitrification inhibitors, all are slow release kind of fertilizer, and in those by using those fertilizer we can increase nitrogen use efficiency. Slow release fertilizer can increase the efficiency of fertilizer nitrogen by 10 to 20%, which in any case is substantial. Neem oil coated urea is a history now in India. Whether produced in India or imported, whole urea has to be neem oil coated urea since 1st January 2016. Whatever urea is consumed in India, it is all neem coated urea, whether it is produced in the country itself or whether we brought it from outside, it is all neem coated urea. Let us see some characteristics of the nitrogenous fertilizers. Different nitrogen fertilizers are valued according to their total nitrogen content, the different nitrogen forms which determine the rate of action and side effects if any. Regardless of the formulation of the fertilizer applied, most are converted in the soil to nitrate and ammonium because these are the plant usable forms, the predominant plant available forms of nitrogen. Nitrate nitrogen in the soil solution is immediately available and thus acts quickly but is most liable to be lost by leaching or denitrification. Plants take up nitrogen mainly in the nitrate form, particularly those which are growing under aerobic conditions. Ammonium nitrogen, although fully available, has a somewhat slower effect because it is first absorbed on soil particles and then only gradually released and nitrified. So, it takes time, but nitrate is immediately available. And rice prefers ammonical forms of nitrogen and some other aquatic plants like ammonical nitrogen. This can be beneficial to nitrogen use efficiency because nitrogen in the ammonium form attached to the soil particles is much less susceptible to leaching and other losses. Some plants can absorb ammonium directly while others require that it is first converted to nitrate. Nitrification can be delayed for several weeks by adding nitrification inhibitors to the fertilizer. This can be useful for preventing undesirable accumulation of nitrate in vegetable crops or reducing loss by leaching. In case of neem coated urea also, neem coating is done because neem oil acts as a nitrification inhibitor that slows down the process, and therefore recovery of nitrogen is more from neem coated urea. Several different formulations, coatings and additives are available to help farmers manage fertilizer nitrogen more efficiently. These are broadly classified as stabilizers, inhibitors, slow release and control release products. Nitrogen fertilizers tend to increase soil acidity. This point must be noted. So as nitrogen fertilizer use is increased, pH may need to be adjusted through. Because pH will go down, it will become slightly acidic. So application of liming material may be desirable. You can see the table on the next slide. Acidification effect of selected nitrogenous fertilizer. So first column you have fertilizer, second column you have amount of calcium oxide, which is lime, to compensate the soil acidification induced by 1 kg nitrogen, assuming 50% utilization of nitrogen. So for example, it is calcium ammonium nitrate. So you need just 0.6 kg of calcium oxide. However, if it is ammonia, urea, ammonium nitrate, then you need 1 kg. If it is diammonium phosphate, it needs 2 kg lime calcium oxide. That means DAP is more acidifying than calcium ammonium nitrate. Ammonium sulphate nitrate also requires 2 kg of calcium oxide, and ammonium sulphate will leave among these fertilizers will leave most acidic effect. Therefore, the requirement for neutralization of calcium oxide is 3 kg. Now we come to the next topic, that is nitrogen use efficiency. Most of the time it is much talk topic about nitrogenous fertilizer, and people say that use efficiency of nitrogenous fertilizer is very low. But before going into the details, let us try to understand what do we mean by nitrogen use efficiency. So, different peoples like agronomists, soil scientists, economics or plant physiologists have tried to define nitrogen use efficiency in their own terms. So, let us see these 4 or 5 terms related to nitrogen use efficiency, and same can be applied to other nutrients also. It can be extended to phosphorus, potassium or micronutrients or nutrient of your interest. Here the case is taken for nitrogen. So, agronomic efficiency represented by AEN is YF minus YC divided by N. YF means yield in fertilized plot where you have applied nitrogen, minus yield in control plot where you have not applied any nitrogen, divided by nitrogen rate. So, it becomes delta Y means change in yield divided by change in nitrogen over control, and unit is kg grain increase per kg nitrogen. It is mostly used by agronomists. Next is apparent recovery efficiency or ARE, or it can be called as recovery efficiency also, mostly used by soil scientists, and it is 100 multiplied by uptake in fertilized plot minus uptake from the control plot, uptake of nitrogen from the fertilized plots minus uptake of nitrogen from the control plot, no nitrogen plot, divided by the rate of nitrogen applied, and represented by delta U divided by delta N, percentage of applied nitrogen. Physiological efficiency PN, YF minus YC means yield in the fertilized plot minus yield in control, divided by UF minus UC. U is uptake in fertilized plot minus uptake in control plot is equal to delta Y divided by delta U, or it can be obtained when you divide apparent agronomic efficiency by recovery efficiency. So, kg grain per kg nitrogen absorbed. Partial factor productivity is another measure of nitrogen use efficiency, and it can be directly calculated by dividing the yield with the rate of nitrogen application. Now, we see the data world across how much is the recovery of nitrogen. So, you can see globally the apparent recovery efficiency in experimental plots was found to be 54% in wheat and 44% in rice. Means generally speaking, in winter crops recovery is more than the rainy season crops. From India, Jat and co-workers 2014, based on its studies made at 22 centers, reported ARE apparent recovery efficiency value ranging from 36.3 to 79.4% in wheat. True recovery efficiency of nitrogen, which is denoted by TREN, is generally lesser than AREN and generally decreases with the rate of application. In rice, George and Prasad reported a TREN value of 31%, 26.7% and 25.9% for applications of 50, 100 and 150 kg nitrogen per hectare. So, overall what can we conclude is the utilization by crops of nitrogen applied through fertilizers varies from 30 to 50% depending upon nature of the crop, climate, soil and management practices. All these factors will affect the nitrogen use efficiency. It can be 50 to 60% for wheat grown in temperate climate and maybe as low as 30% for lowland rice grown in coarse texture soils. The energy required to produce fertilizer nitrogen to be applied per unit area is about 1/3 of the total energy requirement for raising the crop. More efficient use of nitrogen fertilizers therefore means a net saving in the energy. Now, just we have seen that nitrogen use efficiency generally varies from 30 to 50%. And now question comes that why this nitrogen use efficiency is low. So, we can summarize that it is mainly because of genetic or crop factors. The use efficiency just now in the last slide we have seen that it was more for wheat and less for rice. Similarly, cultivar differences are also observed. The traditional cultivars, the low yielding varieties, they have very low nitrogen use efficiency, and high yielding varieties in general and also the hybrids of individual crop, they have high nitrogen use efficiency. Now question comes, why this difference occurs in crops? This is, or varieties, this is mainly because of differences in root structure or efficiency of the roots. Crops or hybrids where you find the good root distribution, good root architecture, they take up more nitrogen than those who have inefficient root system. Next is climatic factors. They also affect the nitrogen use efficiency, particularly available moisture. If conditions are too dry, nitrogen use efficiency will be low. If the water and nitrogen levels are optimum, the maximum nitrogen use efficiency can be achieved. But if water supply is in excess due to rainfall or irrigation, the nitrogen use efficiency will decrease. So there is association of climatic factors to the nitrogen use efficiency. Soil factors like pH affects the nitrogen availability, activity of microbes. Cation exchange capacity also affects the nutrient availability, texture, structure. All these factors will affect the nitrogen use efficiency. So soil factors are important. For example, same level of nutrient application, but your soils is sandy soils. So in sandy soils, generally you will have less nitrogen use efficiency if we compare with the sandy clay loam or clay loam soil, because of differences in the losses of nitrogen. In sandy soils, you will have more leaching compared to clay soil. Then management and agronomic factors also influence the nitrogen use efficiency. The best management practices, good agricultural practices will always give you higher nitrogen use efficiency than the inefficient agricultural practices, because in most of the cases nitrogen use efficiency formula says that there are two things. One is numerator, which is yield, and other is denominator, which is the input, that is the nitrogen. If we increase the yield or through agronomic practices, we can increase the nitrogen use efficiency, or we can try to decrease the rate of application and make the adjustment to achieve higher nitrogen use efficiency. Fertilizer factors like source, rate, time and method of application all affects the nitrogen use efficiency. Now, why nitrogen use efficiency is low? We continue. The other three types of processes affect excess nitrogen not utilized by the crop. Their relative impact on the supply of nitrogen to crops depends upon weather, soil conditions and other factors. These processes are microbial, for example, nitrification, denitrification and immobilization. Chemical like exchange, fixation, precipitation, hydrolysis. Physical, leaching, runoff, volatilization. All these processes lead to reduce nitrogen use efficiency. Now, what can be done? How we can bring up the nitrogen use efficiency, or how can we improve it? So, first option is fertilizer best management practices. Whatever fertilizer we apply, I discussed in another lecture the fundamentals of fertilizer application. All those kind of principles should be followed to increase the nutrient or nitrogen use efficiency here. So, application of plant nutrient attempt to increase nutrient use efficiency and minimize unfavorable effect on the environment. The root system of most arable crops only explore about 20 to 25% of the available soil volume in 1 year. So, the utilization of nutrients by plants will not only depend on the stage of growth and nutrient demand, but also on the rate of delivery of plant nutrients to the roots by mass flow and diffusion in the soil solution. Split application is also useful to increase the nitrogen use efficiency. The application of nitrogen fertilizer at multiple times during the growing season can help improve nitrogen use efficiency and reduce losses. So, applying nitrogen fertilizer as close as possible to the time of uptake requirement by the crop is a good management strategy to maximize efficiency. If we know the uptake pattern of nitrogen or requirement pattern of nitrogen by any particular crop, then we should try to match the availability of nitrogen according to the requirement. That way we can increase the nitrogen use efficiency of crop. The site specific fertilizer management leads to application of fertilizer nitrogen after taking into account the nitrogen supplying capacity of the soil, and thus ensures high fertilizer nitrogen use efficiency. So, modern tools and techniques of increasing nutrient use efficiency should be followed, like practices of scheduling the fertilizer, leaf color chart, spade meter, green seeker under site-specific nutrient management can be practiced to increase the nitrogen use efficiency. Any surplus mineral nitrogen remaining in soil at harvest is likely to be lost by leaching and denitrification. Use of cover crops and crop residue management can help keep the nitrogen in organic compounds in the soil and make it less susceptible to leaching and denitrification losses. So here it is also important to note that crop rotations also play a very important role, and also the role of balanced nutrition is very important in increasing the nitrogen use efficiency. So several tools are available to help enhance the efficiency of nitrogen fertilizers. These include chemical additives, biological inhibitors and coatings that physically constrain nitrogen activity in the soil. Some of the important conversion processes that occur in the soil are dependent upon the microbial activity. These provide a point of management through chemical or physical factors that control microbial activity. Some examples include nitrapyrin, used to inhibit the nitrification process. This finds practical value. Urease inhibitors, they stop the first reaction of urea hydrolysis where urease enzyme is used. So this urease enzyme can be stopped by certain inhibitors. Those are called as urease inhibitor. So they are used to slow down the conversion of urea to ammonium and nitrate. Encapsulation of urea granules used to slow the solubility of urea and its release to the soil solution. The Association of American Plant Food Control officials has defined these products Trankel 2010. Now, what is slow or controlled release fertilizer? A fertilizer containing a plant nutrient in a form which delays its availability for plant uptake and use after application, or which extends its availability. Means these are the products or material, slow releasing material that increase the use efficiency of nitrogen. By controlling the release, they release as per requirement of the crop. Such delay in initial availability or extended time of continued availability may occur by a variety of mechanisms like controlled water solubility of the material by semi-permeable coatings, occlusion protein materials, or other chemical forms by slow hydrolysis of water-soluble low molecular weight compounds, or by unknown means. Next is stabilized nitrogen fertilizer, a fertilizer to which a nitrogen stabilizer has been added. A nitrogen stabilizer is a substance added to a fertilizer which extends the time the nitrogen component of the fertilizer remains in the soil in the urea nitrogen or ammonical nitrogen forms. Nitrification inhibitors, a substance that inhibit the biological oxidation of ammonical nitrogen to nitrate nitrogen. So friends, overall I think you could understand the soil dynamics of nitrogen in soil, what are different forms, ammonical form, nitrate, nitrite and organic forms of nitrogen, and what are the processes that are involved in the cycling of nitrogen, nitrification, ammonification, aminization and volatilization. And you have also seen different kind of loss of nitrogen. What are the mechanism of different losses of nitrogen from the soil? And we have come across all kind of nitrogenous fertilizer. Important one were urea, anhydrous ammonia, calcium ammonium nitrate and NPK fertilizer, number of things. And we have also touched upon nitrogen use efficiency, why it is low, what is the current status of nitrogen use efficiency, and how the nitrogen use efficiency can be increased. And in this role of slow release fertilizer, neem coated urea becomes very important. Hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you very much.